She's just a girl, but she's on fire.
Hi, everybody. Ali Alvarez here, and today is part of our 30-day Millionaires Mindset Expansion. I want to talk about defining wealth in your life and really what that means. So, a lot of times we carry a definition of wealth that's been given to us from the outside world, that's been given to us from a consumer standpoint. And I want you to recreate your definition of wealth by going inside, getting quiet, getting clear on what your values are, and getting clear on who you are and what wealth truly, truly means. Wealth, for many of us, when we start to really look at it from an internal perspective, we start to get clear is that wealth can mean having time with our family, being the ones that raise our children and have time with our children instead of handing it off to someone else, and not being with them when we really feel when our heart is being pulled and we really want to have that time. Wealth can also mean not having to work so much to pay off bills and to sort of be in that rat race of running around constantly, that we have a little more time freedom that we can pick up and have some time to reconnect to ourselves. And if we're always working, always having to pay off, always having to sort of pay off the consumer goods that we're consuming, or pay on the mortgage because we're underwater with it, or it's a heavier mortgage than we want it to be, we're not free. And ultimately, I think wealth is about having freedom, having good, healthy relationships around us, and having our health. And those are all things that are aligned with values. So as an exercise, I really want you to sit down and I want you to think about what are your values and really what is wealth to you. What does that look like? And if you can start to chart that out and get clear on that, you can create that. It's when we're not clear and when we're sort of allowing things to be in this ambiguous state that we can't mold the clay of our life. John Demartini, personal development guy, he has a really great breakdown of getting clear on your values. And working with values is something we're going to do in another video blog in the future, so look out for that one. But in the meantime, one way to understand values is, which John Demartini says, okay, you're going to sit down and just look around your house and start to see what have you surrounded yourself with over the last 10 years? What is your home like? What have you gathered around you? And you're going to start to get clues into who you are and how you live. And so then you're going to start to chart that out. And I'm going to give you some examples of values. Would be, like I had already mentioned, it's going to be health, would be time with your family. One of my values is art, being able to be surrounded by art, or being able to have access to art and artists. Even for some of us, it's the form of art of music, right? And being able to surround ourselves with really, really good music, and good food. Being able to have some time freedom to be able to do what we want, and to have ownership of our own time and ownership of our own life in that way. Sometimes some of us are in jobs where the holidays don't belong to us anymore, that we have to give our holidays over to an employer, and that we want that time back for our family. For many of us as parents, I know for me as a parent, a really strong value for me is being able to be the one to raise my own children. And I wanted to be the one there during all of these amazing, vital landmarks of my children's lives, like being able to be the one who watched my son ride off into freedom the first time he rode his bike without training wheels, or to watch him discover the skateboard, and to discover his balance, that he could actually skateboard, and to watch that unfold with him. And to be there, to be the one with him in that moment. That's something that I treasure greatly. So as we sit down and we get clear on our values and on how we define wealth, I want to give you a couple things that I think can be really helpful. Wealth is a state of mind, and that, being an American, sometimes we forget how great we have it here. Now, Empower Network, and I know some people on my list are not Americans, or you're in many other countries in the world. So I'm going to sort of speak on, this is for everyone, but I'm going to speak sort of from the American experience of just being on this soil gives us access to a lot of things. I've had the great opportunity of traveling to some third world countries and to sit witness to people who have a lot more struggles in their life, and it gives you great pause. I had spent some time in India, and the internal struggle and the heartbreak I felt when I was watching a young family and a baby, a very young baby, crawl in a parking lot in the morning because they had no home. And they were waking up and watching people struggle in the world to get fresh water, to get a roof over their head, to even just get something as simple as a pair of shoes, really gives you great pause when we're in this world of consumption, and that some people have a lot and extra consumption, and some people have nothing. So I think a big piece of defining wealth is also, you can't look at wealth without looking at your relationship to consumption. And I think that's a very responsible and a very sustainable way to start to add that into your definition of wealth. So I'm going to give you a piece of homework. And this is something that this is one of my absolute favorite things online. It's a little YouTube video. It's about 10 minutes long. It's called The Story of Stuff. And she was a New York Times science writer. I don't remember her name, my apologies, but the link for her work is below this. And she really shows you the life cycle of things, and how we kind of get emotionally caught up in that hamster wheel of consumption, and that we're not free. We're not free from that consumer cycle. And to me, to look at that consumer cycle and the consumption of stuff, it doesn't mean that we can't use things in the world, but I think we need to use things in the world with consciousness, and with a greater respect that we're all on this planet together, and that we're all sharing resources, and that at the end of the day, if we can raise the value of our life up, we have to consider raising the value of other people's lives up at the same time. And to answer that question for ourselves, how do we do it for our own family and for ourselves, but at the same time, how do we contribute and help others do the same thing? And everyone's answer to that question is going to be a little bit different. So The Story of Stuff is a really great seed foundational work to start to get you into your thinking of how you consume, how you can alter your consumption to actually conserve resources and bring more wealth in your life in many different ways. A couple other films that I want to, sort of like a media homework blog post. I want you to consider, if you're one of those sort of eye candy television watchers where you love like the Jersey Shore, and you love those, like the Housewives of Orange County, or those, like any of those, how do I put this gently? Reality skewed shows on women that are vapid, maybe? Nah. Okay. Anyway, you get the point. I want you to sort of pull away your consciousness from that type of television, and I want you to get into something like some real documentaries about people's real work in the world. And I'm going to give you two that have absolutely altered my life and affected me on a very, very deep level. Both of them are award-winning documentaries. The first one, Born into Brothels, if you've never seen it, it won the Oscar back in the 2000s. because we're still in the 2000s. Right? We're going to be in the 2000s for a while. That's what they say anyway. So Born into Brothels, and it's if you've not seen it or don't remember it, it was a photographer who traveled to, I believe it was the brothels in Bombay, and her original vision was to work with the prostitutes there, and she ended up teaching photography and education to the children of the prostitutes, and that the children in India, if you're born into a family that is in the red light district, you're not allowed to go to school. So even just watching that film and being able to value the fact that if you live in a country where you get access to education, that's huge, huge. Education, that there is a value, and it's a piece of wealth that raise your value on that. So Born into Brothels. Another film that when I saw this film, I had to watch it 4 times in a row. It was absolutely astounding. It's called Wasteland, and it's the massive garbage dumps in Brazil and the people that work them to pull out and to try to recycle and to pull value back out of the garbage. And it was a local artist who came to the United States. He made his mark in the art world, and he wanted to give back. And so he went back to his roots of where he grew up in Brazil, I believe it's Brazil, and worked with the garbage pickers and that story. And is in particular the woman who's serving them lunch, where she's in the middle of the garbage dump and she has to feed lunch to the garbage pickers, and she makes lunch out of what they find. Amazing. And amazing people, an amazing snapshot of what's possible, what some people have to deal with. And, to even sit down with either of these films, you will immediately feel very, very wealthy. So sit down, get quiet with yourself, do some homework, and get clear. When you can get clear on what these ideas are, you can start to carve your path, and you can start to enrich your life in ways beyond your imagination. I have one more thing to add to you, to add to this topic today, is within Empower Network, we have a course called the Master's Course. And stepping onto this topic of what we've talked about today, of really, really getting clear and starting to map this out, is a step toward mastery. And if you want to take your life into a place of mastery, I highly, highly recommend the Master's Course. It is about stepping into leadership. It is about leading people. It is about leading your own mind and leading your world in such a way that you leave the world a better place than when you came here. So it's an absolute, absolute must to check out. When you get inside the Master's Course, there is actually a preview video. It's about an hour long, and there's a training within that video which is astounding. Like it's the sales video for the Master's Course, and it's something that you can watch many times and be like, there's so much information just in that video. So something absolutely worth checking out and absolutely worth putting into your library of tools and resources. So there's a link below this. You can go ahead and click on when you're ready to get yourself locking arms with us and Empower Network. And then when you become a member, you can have access to all of these amazing products and educational resources that are changing lives, mine included. So I look forward to working with you on a deeper level. I look forward to bringing you into our team when you're ready. And have an awesome day, and please leave comments and thoughts below. Love to hear from you. All right, have a great one. Bye.